the population is overweight or obese. And so we spoke about the fact that we really need to be mindful that fat inside our body, adipose tissue, causes inflammation, leads to disease, leads to cancers, diabetes, heart disease, strokes. So we want to try to get a handle on this and not give up. I know too many people who give away clothes that are their former size because they say, I'll never get back to that size. I'm just going to give away my clothes and just be fine where I am. But I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to think that it's impossible, because it is not impossible to get to your ideal weight. Okay. So this week we're talking about foods that melt away fat. What do you need to eat to get to your weight? All right. So the secret to weight loss. The secret to weight loss is you got to eat more to weigh less. You're saying, what did she just say? I have to eat more to weigh less? Yep. And we're going to talk about that some more, because that is the key. I'm telling you, it works. I used to weigh almost 200 pounds, size 18. And I lost weight over time by eating more. And the weight just melted away. Now, don't leave me here, because you got to know what to eat more of, right? You got to know the secret foods that are going to get you where you want to be. But there is a way that works and works wonders. Now, I want to go back to the fact that calories are important for us to be mindful of, right? Calories are what we find in food. Our food gives us calories, and that's just a measure of energy, because our food gives us energy. Energy to keep warm, to be active, to think, to have all our processes keep working. And so we need food, we need calories, they're good. But when we take in more calories than we can use or burn at the given time, we store it away as fat. The body converts all the extra calories, turns it into fat, and just puts it away into different places. Now, if we keep doing this every day, we're getting in more calories than we can use or burn at that time. We're going to keep getting more and more fat deposits until it just seems almost like unstoppable. We just keep gaining weight. So we need to keep in mind the amount of calories that we're getting in and the amount of calories that we're burning out. Calories in versus calories out really has everything to do with how much weight we keep on our body. Now, because we know that calories are important, some people think, well, if I just eat less, then I'll lose weight, right? If I just eat less food, and that's what's often being pushed, smaller portions, less food. But you know what that really equals? Hunger. I do not like to be hungry. And when I'm hungry, you know what I do? I reach for anything that's in my path, and I just eat more and more of it. The key is not to go hungry. The answer is not eating less, but eating right. We need to eat more of the right foods. Now, what's the right food? Whole foods. WHOLE foods are your friend when you want to lose weight. You see, whole foods are high in nutrients, they're high in fiber, and they're low in calories. So by them being high in fiber, guess what? You get full. You're not like starving. You're not like reaching for any, all the bad, junky stuff, because you're being filled up with fiber and nutrients that your body is looking for. And they are naturally lower in calories. So you're saying, okay, what are whole foods? I got to go get them, right? Whole foods are foods that are not refined or processed. Eating foods the way they look out of the ground or off the tree, that's whole food eating. Whole foods were designed by our creator to really nourish us, to keep us full, and to help us keep the weight off. It's all a part of God's plan. That's how he designed it. But guess what? When man gets in the way and starts to take whole foods and tries to improve it, right? By putting it in a factory, taking out the fiber, put it in some more sugar, put in some extra oil, as if the whole food even needed that. That's when it becomes a problem. When you just take a potato that looks like a potato and you bake it and you eat it, guess what? You eat one or two of them, you're full. But when you take that same potato and you slice it up, dice it up, put it in the factory, add your salt, your sugar, your trans fats, put it in a bag, sell it. We eat that same potato from a bag, but it looks a little different. It looks like potato chips because it is potato chips now. And you eat a bag and you're like, I'm still hungry. But guess what? You had that whole potato, but it was just all different. So you got to eat another bag and another bag just to get full. And you've increased your calories exponentially and decreased your nutrients and your fiber. So when you eat processed food, you naturally have to eat more because it doesn't fill you up. It's devoid of fiber and it has too much oil, sugar, and calories. So processed foods are the opposite of whole foods. And so when we have a diet that's very processed, we will be fat. It's just like a given because the tendency is to eat more to get full and it just has too many calories in there. You know, this obesity epidemic wasn't around 100 years ago. 100 years ago, people were slim. They were their ideal body weight. But when we introduced industrialism and ways to make being busy easier, things to make life more convenient and let us move less, sit more, eat high calorie stuff, our food changed. And then we all began to get bigger naturally without even thinking about it. We just got bigger. Food is meant to be eaten whole, natural. That's the food to help you melt away the pounds. Not to eat less, not to go hungry, because that is not going to work. Now, you see, when you have a whole apple, instead of a few slices of apple pie or half of apple pie, you get a lot more from that whole apple. The fiber is bound up with sugar. That's how God made it. He put the sugar and the fiber together, nicely packaged in that apple. So when you eat the apple, guess what? You have like this swelling effect in your stomach and you just get full. And then the sugar is released from that fiber slowly. So your glucose level is steady, going up like with the apple pie and then dropping down because the fiber has been removed. No. When you eat that apple, when you eat that potato as is, when you eat the corn as corn and not, corn chips or different processed foods, your sugar level is naturally stable and goes down gradually after a few hours. When you can have a steady glycemic or glucose level, it does wonders for us. It helps to keep our insulin levels down, which helps to burn fat. So you're naturally burning more fat. When we have fiber that's bound up to sugar, we're fuller for longer. And so we don't have to be snacking, eating every 2 hours or every hour. When we have fiber bound with sugar in whole foods, we have more energy and we can think more clearly. And our GI tract just feels better overall. You see, when we eat whole foods, that's the answer to so many of our ailments, including being overweight. Now, I hear some of you saying, well, what about carbs and fats and protein? Well, what about them? Carbs, fats, and protein all have calories. It's the calories that add up that make us gain weight. And unfortunately, when those calories are too much, they're turned to fat, like I said, and that fat can get deposited in our arteries and lead to so much damage just because we're having too many calories. Whether it's from protein, whether it's from fat, whether it's from carb, those calories turn to fat. And I want you to really conceptualize how many calories are in those different foods. Now, when we talk about the calories per gram of food, I want you to realize that a gram weighs about as much as a paperclip, right? A paperclip is like the equivalent of a typical measurement of a gram. So when we say the amount of calories per gram, we're talking about how many calories per a little bit of the food. Fat has 9 calories per gram. Carbs have 4 calories per gram. And protein has 4 calories per gram. Now, if you caught what I was saying, you'd realize that fat has double plus the amount of calories per gram. So when we are trying to eat to keep our weight maintained, we got to go easy on the fat. Bring it down a notch, because per gram of fat, we're getting more calories. Carbs and protein are equivalent, 4 calories per gram. So those are not the foods to minimize and avoid and run away from. You got to keep an eye on the fat. Now, I like to say fat makes you fat because many times you don't realize how many calories are in a gram of fat. The food that you're eating to you just looks like food. But we gotta start looking at it a little differently and realizing the calorie density in the foods that we're choosing. So we gotta slow down on the fat, back it up a little bit. And I'm not here advocating a fat-free diet, no, or a super, super low fat diet, no, because we do need fat. Fat is not evil. God put fat in food, so it's there for a reason. We need fat for our brain to work better. The myelin sheaths that surround our nerves need fat. We need some fat around our organs to protect them, but not too much, just enough. So we need to know what foods we need to kind of be careful of when we're trying to decrease the fat and be careful about gaining too many calories. Now, I want you to really seriously evaluate your dairy intake when you're talking about fat. Dairy has a lot of fat. Cheese, milk, eggs, butter, heavy cream. Those are loaded with fat. We don't need them. So if you are trying to lose weight and you realize, my goodness, I love to eat a block of cheese as a snack, maybe a different snack, maybe what you want to turn to. You don't want to eat cheese when you're trying to lose weight. Meats naturally have fat. You have the fatty part around the meat, the skin has fat, and there's even fat in the flesh. So you need to, I advocate a plant-based diet. But if you decide that you want to keep meat in your diet, that is certainly your choice, and you can lose weight with meat in your diet. But you gotta be real careful. Minimize it significantly. Pick the healthiest meat, not meat at Stop and Shop or Price Right. Not meat in your local grocery store. Those meat are sick. If you choose to eat meat, you get meat from a place you know where the animals are healthy. A local butcher, a local farm. I would not buy any meat from a grocery store. Okay, that's a side. So meat has a lot of fat. You want to ditch that or significantly decrease it. Fried foods. A lot of us say, well, my family is fat, so I'm going to be fat. But you know what? The family keeps eating fried food, so we're all getting weight. We should not be frying our food. We don't need to add oil to everything we're eating. I know what a typical thing in my culture is when you make a pot of rice, you always put a stick of butter on top. What's that for? The rice does not need butter. Those little things we need to realize that the fat is piling on with every incremental dose of butter and oil and frying. And don't forget, I said last time, just 10 extra calories a day will make you gain a pound a year. Because we spoke about that, right? 3,500 calories per pound. If you add up too many calories to equal 3,500, then you'll gain a pound so easily. So we want to look at fatty foods and decrease them or remove them as much as possible. What about healthy fats? I know somebody out there saying, well, they're healthy fats. What about, does that make me fat? Yeah, yeah. If we eat more than we need. So, what are healthy fats? Avocados, nuts, seeds, tofu. Those are all very healthy fats. Now, why are they healthy? Because they are fats that they're not trans fat, they're not saturated fats, they're polyunsaturated fats. And those are all big terms. Don't worry about that, but those fats are the kind that are helpful to your brain, your nerves, your organs. They don't lead to increased cholesterol, and they have a lot more nutrients packed in them. When you eat seeds, you're getting more than just fat. You're getting minerals, zinc, magnesium, manganese, all those things that help you fight disease. So they're little packages of medicine with healthy doses of fat. Now, it's important to get these fats in your diet, but when you are overweight and trying to lose weight, you need to minimize that fat until you get down to your ideal weight. When you're at your ideal weight, then you can have a little more of them to sustain your weight, but we can't overdo it. The recommendations really are to have a handful of nuts with your hand closed every day. So you're not piling up the nuts till they're so high. No, you're putting enough nuts to fill your hand and close it. That's how much nuts you should eat every day. And that equals about maybe, I don't know, not even a quarter cup of nuts, maybe an eighth a cup of nuts. Because nuts are very fatty, and there's no way around it. They give you just enough fat that you need, but we can't overdo it. I I didn't realize this for a long time, and I was really enjoying my fat, my healthy fat, and going to town with them. Tons of avocado, tons of nuts, tons of tofu, and I was gaining weight, eating healthy. But fat makes you fat. So you really have to bring it down a notch and be careful when you have that. Of course, you need fat. I'm not saying eat fat free, but just these have to be watched carefully. Portion control when it comes to fat. All right. So, what about carbs? Should I be eating a low carb diet? No. You need to eat a high carb diet. But what kind of carb? All carbs are not equal. We need to focus on whole food carbs, complex carbohydrates, not simple processed refined carbs, because those are the carbs that lead to you gaining weight. So folks try to run away from bread because they're like, oh, bread is carbs. No, if you want to eat bread, you can eat bread, but you got to eat the right kind of bread. You can't just get the nice, soft, squishy white bread and think that you're going to lose weight eating that. No, because what you try to do is you try to eat less of that squishy white bread because you want to have less calories, but you're going to be so hungry that in an hour or two, you're going to reach for something else because you are starving. When you get bread that's made with whole grain, the real heavy bread that you can crack something with, that bread fills you up and you are so full. You can only have a slice and then you're done and you're full till the next meal. You need to have whole grains when you're going to have carbs. Also, the best carbs are like your complex starchy vegetables. So those are like your yams, your sweet potato, your pumpkin, your dasheen. That's the food that champions are made from. Those are whole, complex carbs, and they will not make you fat. Eat food as it is grown, not refined or processed. And we need to really maximize our green leafy vegetables or colored veggies or fruits and or beans. These are all foods that are high in carbs, but when you really layer them on your plate and you get full, trust me, you're full almost the whole day. And you don't have to keep eating food that's going to make you overweight. All right, so I kind of gave you the basic foundation of what to eat to melt away the pounds. And now I'm going to give you 10 key pointers, 10 key pointers to eat away the pounds so you can start to formulate habits over time that will help you lose weight gradually, slowly, and forever, right? We want to say bye bye to the extra pounds forever. A lot of people can lose weight in a month or two, but guess what? They gain it back by the end of the year and they gain more. We don't want that. You've had that experience. We've all had that experience. We tried diets and it's like, oh, I lost 10 pounds, but then I gained 20. This has to be a lifestyle change. We have to make choices that are that we can sustain, that are realistic, and that we can learn to really do every single day. So, number one, when you want to eat away the pounds and get back to your ideal weight, we need to eat more. We need to eat more of the right foods, more whole foods. I want you to really aim at getting the proper amount of vegetables and fruits in every day. What is that? Think of 5, 9, 10. If you're a child, that's 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day. If you're a female, I'm sorry, it's 5, 7, 10. If you're a female, 7 servings of fruits and vegetables. And if you're a male, 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. That stuff will fill you up. So what does that look like? All right, you're having your let me tell you what I typically have for my meals. So for breakfast, I try to have 3 servings of fruit. So it might be an apple, a banana, and a pear. When I'm finished with that, I'm full, but I'm not done. Then I'm gonna add just maybe a half a cup of raw oats and add some soy milk, add some raisins for my sweetener, and then I'm done. And I'm full. And I'm not gonna be hungry again until 6 hours later. I'm not gonna snack. I'm not gonna pop in anything in my mouth. It's done. It's over. Breakfast is done. The next meal, I need to get an additional 7 servings in, right? So I'll have 3 cups of green salad. So like that's spinach, that's kale, that's arugula chopped up. Then I'll add a cup of cooked vegetables. Then I'll add a serving of sweet potato. Then I'll add a serving of beans. You see, it's adding up, right? Nobody's starving here. We're just eating a good amount of the right foods at the right time and being careful not to eat in between and eat junk food. That's how you're going to stay full, not go hungry, and not have to gain weight over time. So that's number one. Eat more. Eat more of the right food and whole foods. 2, have a big breakfast. Now, I'm not as concerned about what time you have breakfast, just that you're consistent. So if you're going to eat breakfast at 7, keep it at 7 every day. If it's going to be at 10, keep it at 10 every day. But make breakfast one time, not 2 times. I know some people, they get up and they have a small breakfast of fruits, and then an hour later they have a bigger breakfast of no, just eat one time. Eat everything one time. Make it big, make it count. But don't rush out the house to start your busy day on empty. Because you know what happens? You start to pick. You get anything inside. Oh, there's a donut. It looks good. Let's have it. Oh, there's a muffin. Let's get. Those are the absolute wrong foods, and it creates a bad habit of eating at random times, wrong foods, high calorie foods. No, set a time, have a big breakfast, sit down and eat. The next one is eat by the clock. Number 3, eat by the clock. What does that mean? Regularity is key. It really is. If your body becomes used to a certain time to eat, that's when you'll start to get hungry. That's when you'll eat. And you train your body to eat at set intervals. For me, my intervals that I try to stick with are 8 and 2. 8 and 2. 8 a.m., 2 p.m. When I'm done at 2, I'm done. It's very important to have regularity in your meals. Know that when it's time to eat, we need to slow down, just focus, stop, and eat. Because that's when you want to focus on nourishing, rebuilding, rejuvenating, and not just rushing and getting anything that you can find. Eating on a schedule really requires almost like a lifestyle switch. Because if we're used to just rushing, going here, going there, and not planning our day ahead of time, it's going to be hard to really stick to a routine and keep the weight off. But when we can stick to some regular schedule, we can think ahead of time, know what we're going to eat, sit down, focus, not overeat, and not eat in between meals. We may also want to try intermittent fasting. Now, many of you have heard of that, but you're not really sure what that means, and some of you have never heard of that before. Intermittent fasting is just where you allow and the different types. I mean, it gets complicated for no reason. But the type that I follow is where you just eat in a narrow window of time. So I eat between 8 and 2, at 8, at 2 generally. And after 2, I'm fasting until the next day at 8. So I'm not eating at night or supper. I leave that out. And you know what that does? It gives your gut a longer period of rest. And when your gut gets to rest, woo, your microbiomes get happy. They get healthy and they start to heal. They have time to actually do what they want to do, heal the gut lining. And it's proven that when you don't eat at late times of the day, when you eat earlier in the day, you lose more weight, your gut microbiome becomes healthier, your insulin is better regulated, and you have more energy. So if you've never heard of that before, you can try it little by little, especially if you're eating whole foods. You'll be able to do intermittent fasting where you eat twice a day and make your second meal earlier in the day, not at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That doesn't work well with the rest of your circadian rhythm. All right, number 4, slow down and chew. That means you can't rush. You can't be in a rush when you're eating. Just slow down. When you slow down and chew your food, it helps with proper digestion beginning in the mouth. It breaks down better inside. You can assimilate it better and you eat less. You don't overeat when you take your time and chew your food and just allow proper digestion to occur. Number 5, skip the snack. Make snack a foreign term for you. Snacks are not normal. Our digestive system was not designed to include snacks. When I see menu plans, I really, I don't like the plans that have meal, snack. Those are not good. We need to eat with enough fiber so that we have a very slow release of glucose, and then we get hungry 5 to 6 hours later. Then we eat again with a slow release of glucose because we're having so much fiber. And then we go to bed early so we don't have to eat at night. And then in the morning start again. So skip the snack. And one of the worst things for trying to lose weight, you know what it is when people snack on nuts. Woo! They advertise nuts as the perfect snack food. Yeah, if you want to gain weight and be oversized. Snacking is not normal for the digestive process, is not normal for our physiology, and we should not make it a part of our menu planning. 2 to 3 meals a day is enough. No snacks needed. Number 6, never eat at night. That's one of the sure ways to gain weight, definitely. When we eat late. What's late? Anything after 6 is late. If you're trying to lose weight, cut off your eating at 3 p.m. Definitely nothing after 3 p.m. But don't eat at night because we will certainly start to pack on the pounds. We're not going to burn it off. We're going to go to sleep. We're going to gain weight. Number 7, sit down and eat. Sit down and eat. Something as simple as that can make a big difference when it comes to the amount of calories we take in throughout the day. If we are on the run constantly and just grabbing whatever we see, we're thinking we're not eating that much. We're just eating a little bit here and there, but it adds up. And it usually adds up to more than what we can use or burn at that time. And so it turns to fat and we gain weight. A big one that's really important, and it helped me a lot, is to practice reading labels and pay attention to serving sizes. Now, I I I've been shocked so many times when I read labels, and I realized that I didn't see that it had so many calories in there. Like for example, I love granola. I love granola, and that is very healthy usually because you can put real healthy things in there. But the granola I make at home, I didn't realize that a serving was 300 calories. Actually, I shouldn't say it that way. A serving is 300 calories from the granola I make at home. But I didn't realize that a serving was so small. It was about a quarter cup. And it was 300 calories per serving. But I was eating about a cup and a half per serving. So I was getting almost 1,000 calories just from the granola alone. And I did not realize that. So we have to read or label. So we realize how many calories are in a serving and really how much is a serving. You might think just two slices of bread is a serving, but really one slice of bread is a serving. So we are sometimes overdoing it when we go to two and three slices. So look at the serving size, look at how many calories, and adjust accordingly. Make home a safe place. We shouldn't fill our home with junk food because if it's in the house, we're going to eat it. At some point or another, we're going to eat it. If we have a cupboard just for junk, we think we're strong, I'm not going to eat it. No, I'm not going to eat it. But one day, if it's there, we're going to eat it. Keep the house a safe haven. Fill it up with fruits, vegetables, yams, healthy bread, not with cookies, donuts, pies, because it's going to go in the mouth if it's in the house. And lastly, number 10, we want to practice mindful eating. What's mindful eating? That's thinking about the whole process. Okay, am I really hungry? Is it time to eat? Why am I eating? Is it because I'm sad? Is it because I'm stressed out? That's my weakness. I am a stress eater. When I get stressed out, when there's too much going on, I start to look for food. And I have to be very mindful of that. How can I handle my stress without eating? Mindful. Also, don't multitask and eat. Watching TV and eating is multitasking because when you're watching TV, you kind of passively take in more calories. We want to be very careful of that. And we don't want to eat because we're bored or because we're lonely, because it will not help the situation. We need to find healthier outlets for boredom, sadness, and loneliness, and not make food a crutch because it's not meant for that. It really is not. Food is meant for healing and sustenance, and that's what it does when we use it in the right way. All right, I'm going to stop here. But the next time we get together, we're going to talk about exercise, right? What kind of exercise should I be doing to lose weight? How much exercise do I need to lose weight? And how can I stick to it? Because, man, I keep falling off the wagon. You can do it. We can do it. And we're not going to give up. All right. So that's next week. Any questions? I'll take them now. And
Well, one person was asking about vegan cheese. If I guess you mentioned cheese, so they wanted to know if it's all right to eat vegan cheese.
yeah, sure. So there are different types of vegan cheese out there, or we call them plant-based cheese. I'm very proud that you're making the switch from dairy cheese to plant-based cheese. That's the right step in the right direction. Um, I use vegan cheese, but I also make my own cheese from cashew and different nuts. It tastes great. Those, though, have more fat. The vegan cheese has fat because it usually has a lot of oil in there to give it that creamy texture. My cheese has fat because I use lots of cashews to make it taste just right. So, yes, they have fat, so we have to be careful. We can't overdo it. But yes, put it in your diet. You need healthy fat, but just be mindful of how much you're using.
So moderation is the key.
Moderation is the key always, especially with your fats. When it comes to your veggies, though, go to town. Go to town.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kathy. Folks, you've been watching The Doctor and the Preacher. I hope you were blessed today. We're going to say a word of prayer, and then we're going to close out. Father, thank you so much for Dr. Kathy. Thank you for the information she shared. Thank you for all our viewers, Lord. I pray that you help us to order our lives according to these helpful tips so that we will live long, healthy lives. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So thanks again, Dr. Kathy. We'll see you next week.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. And folks, we will see you tomorrow. God bless.